Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? I'm here finally with NAIC finals. Tord versus Stefan. We have Tord on the control Zork versus Stefan with ZoroGarb. So this matchup, I think it is slightly favored for Stefan, but I think overall it's pretty close. The way this matchup breaks down is Stefan basically wants to be as disruptive, put on as much pressure and be as disruptive as possible if he needs to with ability lock arb. You don't always have to use ability lock arb in this matchup, but you want to always apply as much pressure as possible from Stefan's side to force the items into this card pile on Tord's side, so that Trash Lunch can kind of take over the game. Tord's deck does play a lot of items, so that's something Tord has to be careful in this matchup. And I think the win condition for Tord here is avoid put. You just have to really avoid putting. You want Trash Lunch to be a non-factor. It's not like you won't use your items, you won't not use your field blowers, your max potions, your enhanced hammers, but you want to use them as little as possible. You want your trades to be non-item, as little trades on the items as possible. And you basically, if you can turn Garbodor into a non-factor on Tord's side, if Tord can turn Garbodor into a non-factor, either KOing Trubbishes, never letting the item count get high enough for Trash Lynch to one-shot a Zoroark, Tord will win because his deck straight up Zoroark versus Zoroark is just extremely favored. The amount of healing cards, energy disruption he plays will just win him the game. Also a Rangaroo. And that's another thing I want to see from him. Hopefully early and often is just get a Rangaroo out, try and abuse a Rangaroo as often as possible whenever he can find the room. So on this Bridget, actually on the turn one Bridget, as long as a Rangaroo's in the deck, I would like to see him grab a Rangaroo. Um, I don't know if I saw it there. Um, don't think I saw a Rangaroo, so we'll probably just see the triple Zorua, especially if all four Zorks are in there. Even if there's just three Zorks in there, yeah, he knows the Ace of Rolls in the deck. I think it's in his hand right now, maybe. He'll be able to abuse that. I don't see the Rangaroo. I don't see a Rangaroo. If a Rangaroo wasn't here, I would like to see him get a Rangaroo on the turn one Bridget, because you just want, like I said, you want to abuse it early and often. Keep the item count low. If you just make the Garbodors a non-factor, you'll win this game because Zoroark versus Zoroark, if that's all that's left, you're just favored, extremely favored. He has blowers, so he doesn't need to put the Lele down right now to play around Parallel City. Go over to Stefan. We see he looks like he'll have a Bridget himself. Ultra Ball Lele for Bridget, not quite as clean as towards Bridget, but a Bridget nonetheless. Nonetheless, he doesn't play as many Bridget as towards, so he can't expect it as often as towards deck. So we will see the Lele for Bridget. I expect to see probably double Zorua Trubbish. You could get double Trubbish Zorua, but it seems unnecessary this early on in the game. I think it's fine for him to just go with making sure his trade count stays up. You know your active Zorua is almost definitely going to get knocked out. Just keep your trades up as well. Draw as many cards as possible, and then make sure you can apply reasonable pressure throughout the whole game. So he seems undecided on his third card. Zorua Trubbish. Looks like he's gonna go with the Trubbish. There is another Zorua in there, so I would like to see him take another Zorua, mostly because you know your active Zorua is probably gonna get knocked out. Um, I guess if you got another Zorua and toward chase the Trubbish, I mean it would be annoying, but you would still get to apply decent pressure through the Zorks. You'd be able to set up two trades on the turn for sure if he doesn't go for the knockout. Yeah, I think on Stefan's side, I would have liked to have seen the second Zorua. Um, yeah. So we see immediately Tord goes Lele for Cynthia. It looks like he's gonna play that. I would assume almost immediately. There's no reason to hold on to it. So we should see the Lele for Cynthia pretty much immediately. And Cynthia looking for Zork TE. All he wants to do is take this knockout on the Zorua. The attachment should come down now. Yep. And then yeah, Cynthia. All right. So this is pretty much ideal for Tord. So far, zero items in the discard pile. That's great. And then he's gonna get the first knockout on the Zorua. And this is what I was talking about. Like now you're only down to one Zorua as Stefan. Um, and like I mentioned at the beginning, all you want to see from Stefan is you just want to see him apply pressure every turn. You want him to see you just apply efficient pressure every turn. So to make sure you can apply efficient pressure every turn, you just need to draw cards. You need to draw your DCEs. You need to draw a Zork to attack with. Like I said, Zork, DCE. You just need to make sure you can attack and apply efficient pressure. You need to be like forcing two shots on the Zorks, forcing Tord to have a response every time. That forces items into the discard pile. So we got the first item in the discard pile here from Tord. And like I said, he plays a lot of items in this deck. But if you don't force them into the discard pile, Tord can play it slow. He can abuse a Rangaroo a lot. See the first trade gets rid of. Looks like he's gonna go with Floatstone. I'm not like I said, I'm a big fan of the floatstone. Um, I don't know. I'm a bit, like the floatstone's super nice to like get into a Rangaroo when you want to. Especially because Stefan does play Kartana and an enhanced hammer himself that can kind of limit your retreat options on towards side. But I don't know. The Mallow is also super nice. I don't know. Maybe there's not really a good trade away target there. Looks like we're gonna settle for 2 trades and attack knockout on towards side. Okay, there Rangaroo was prize. He just got off the first prize. So he found the Rangaroo, which is what he wants. Um, and there's an N from Stefan. Yeah, so I want to see Tord use Orangaroo early and often, pretty much whenever he can to put items back in his deck. It's gonna end up being a big deal the later the game goes. The item count. All right, so there's a Zoroark from Stefan. We saw him evolve to ability lock Garb immediately. Um, I would have liked to have seen him also on the. We can get to 150. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I guess setting up Lele is fine. You don't know you're gonna for sure hit a Zoroark. You most likely are though. It's gonna be very hard to like. It's a Zoroark. And we see the energy drive 80. We're going back over to Tord's turn. Gonna start trading. Um, triple trade now. So here's like where I would be fine with him starting to trade away stuff like Delinquent. So Delinquent does offer up the win condition of running your opponent out of resources, sure, but I would much rather make sure I avoid that item threshold or stay under the threshold of items where the trash line just starts one-shotting me. So on Tord's side, so he starts with the stretcher trade. See, I would like to have seen him just trade Delinquent, and here I would, as him, I would just trade Flare Grunt after Delinquent. But now I would trade Delinquent, and then he goes for the Ultra Ball. Like the item count is just going to start stacking up. It's just going to start stacking up really fast. So once again, as sort, I would like to have seen him trade away Delinquent, then Flare Grunt. Like Flare Grunt's okay, but you have enhanced hammers. You can deal with the special energy that way. Just avoid the items. Avoid the items at all costs. Flare Grunt's also really slow, so I'm not a huge fan of it. Trying to utilize it, and then once again, the third trade is on the Ultra Ball. But again, much rather would have seen him trade away Delinquent or Flare Grunt. At this point, I don't know. I think Delinquent's probably a little bit better than Flare Grunt. Um, but yeah, I would have already gotten rid of both those personally. Like, you just want to avoid the items. That's all you want to do here is Tord. And if you make the Garbodor as a non-factor, you will just win the game eventually. What he goes for. Wonder Tag. So this should be a Guzma knockout. And I would like to see him take out the ability lock Garb. And he has the Enhanced Hammer to removes the Lele's energy. So he doesn't even get... So he can potentially remove the pressure threat from Stefan's side of the board. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words this morning. Going after the Zorua, and then once again, like, so this is basically Tord playing to be like, okay, I'm gonna remove your draw power, so that way I hope you whiff. That way that increases the potential of you just whiffing what you need. But it's not really a consistent game plan. I don't feel like here from Tord because it does that, but you're not removing the factor of the Garbodors. So if Stefan does just hit a DC next turn, I'm sure we'll see the Enhanced Hammer come out from Tord to remove it from Lele to remove the pressure factor from the Lele. But if Stefan does just hit another DC next turn, then you didn't do anything really by removing this Zoroark. He still has draw supporter potentially plus a trade. That's enough to find a thing. That's enough to find a DC. I would have much rather seen Tord get rid of the ability lock Garb, remove that factor from the game, not have to worry about having to get a field blower every time you want to start trading again, or force this Trubbish into basically KOing this Garbodor. If Stefan feels ability lock Garb, and I'm not an expert on this matchup, I haven't played this matchup before personally, or I played it like once or twice since NAIC playing Tord's deck, but if ability, I don't know how important. I actually don't know how important ability lock Garb is in this matchup, or Trash Lunch is just more important. I feel like Trash Lunch is probably a little bit more important. Oops, you guys didn't hear that too loud. I bumped my mic. Um, so KOing this ability lock Garb basically gets rid of a Trash Lunch as well, because then this Trubbish has to turn into an ability lock Garb. I think KOing Zorua is just it doesn't remove the Garbodor factor, so I don't like it. I would it doesn't. I mean, this doesn't completely remove the Garbodor factor by KOing the ability lock Garb, but it pressures the Garbodors. This just pressures the Azura. If Stefan just gets a DCE here, Stefan doesn't care. Like, he's like, okay, that's cool. Here's another DC. I'm attacking again, and I have the inevitability of the Trash Lunch coming on. So we see a Trash Lunch in his hand. I think there's no reason not to evolve it. The item count is already getting up there. You just want to have it ready to go as soon as possible. Yeah, so from Tord, I would have really liked to have seen him KO the ability lock Garb there. definitely don't. If the game breaks down to Zorak versus Zorak, Tord's deck just wins. So there's no point in overly pressuring the Zoruas. The Zoruas are not the X factor in the matchup. The Garbodors are. So there we go. Plenty of DCEs here from uh, Stefan. Another Zorua. And has the Kartana option. I don't hate it. Locking up, stopping him from being able to retreat, I actually kind of like. Because actually, this would be a decent turn, depending on what else Tord draws, to go for a an Oranguru play. His hand definitely does not allow that though, and we got the delinquent in the hand again, which once again I said I think I would have liked to have seen be traded away. Um, I don't hate delinquent here actually from Tord though. With Stefan having a 4-card hand, it's possible 2 of those cards are super important. Like if there's 2 puzzle in the hand, it's really nice. That'd be really nice. Take away from there. Once again, he trades another item. He trades the counter catcher. I did trade away that delinquent. Either commit to playing it for the turn, or trade it away. I mean, with a 4-card hand on Stefan's side, I probably would just trade it away. Yeah, the item count is just getting really high now. We're almost there. And the double puzzle is probably going to have to come down this turn, which means we will be there. Trade away an Ultra Ball. I think this trading away the Sycamore is more than fine there. I don't know. If you Sycamore there, you're definitely committing to just getting one shot by Trash Avalanche next turn. That doesn't sound very good on Tord's side. So I would like to have seen him play to try and get a Rangaroo in play here. You could have gone. Oh no, I don't even know if you could have done it Floatstone. I guess you couldn't have gotten a Rangaroo out. Or he has one more trade, right? Maybe not. Yeah, I mean we've already reached the item threshold here for Tord. So it's pretty ugly from here on out, I think. That's what I said. Like you want to make the Garbodors a non-factor, ideally. Looks like he's going for Lele DCE, so he's going to chase down. It looks like he's gonna go. I think he's out of trades, so it looks like he's gonna go chase down the ability lock Garb this turn. Once again, not a fit. So now he's all of a sudden switching up his strategy. He went from chasing the Ruas, and there's a Rua in play. I guess he could still chase the Zorua. Hang on, we'll see what he does. Yeah, I guess you'd want the extra Lele in play anyways. I don't know if you want to burn a Guzma out of the deck, so you could have just double puzzled for Guzma if you're gonna go chase the Zorua. Yeah, he's going for now. He's going for the ability lock Garb all of a sudden, pressuring. Maybe the reason he does this now is because there's no Trubbish in place. So he's like, okay, ability lock Garb can't come online next turn. But you're already at the item threshold, so now Trash Avalanche is the bigger threat. Like him stopping you from trading is no longer that big of a deal because he's one-shotting you with Trash Avalanche Garb. Like so all of a sudden, ability lock Garb isn't that big of a deal. From here on out, Stefan doesn't care if there's no ability lock Garbs in play. If he can just put another Trubbish down next turn to set up a follow-up Trash Avalanche Garb, Stefan will probably be fine with that. Like he doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care about ability lock Garb anymore. Last turn it would have been a way bigger deal if Tord had KO'd the ability lock Garb, which I think he should have done, for sure. There we go, the knockout on the ability lock Garb. Back over to Stefan. There's plenty of items. I think if it's at 14, then you definitely just want to go get that one shot with Trash Avalanche. Yeah, he even already has the unit energy. Then ideally you just want to see another Trubbish come down, just in case. I mean, it actually will be. Tord's like running out of Pokemon, so it might be decently hard for him to KO this Trash Avalanche. So ideally we want to see another Trubbish here from Stefan. See if he can get there. He trades Choice Band. I'm not a big fan of that. You might want to use it for like this Zoroark to KO this Zoroark eventually. Just trade the Acerola. I think he had an Acerola in there. Like the Acerola seems pretty useless at this point. Ideally that Ultra Ball would get a Trubbish unless it's prize. His third Trubbish is prize. So I'm assuming it's prize if he makes this trade here. Got the Parallel City though, which is pretty sick. That'll re-limit Tord's bench and actually make it really hard for him to KO this Trash Land. Yep, there's the knockout. So Tord needs to find 3 Pokemon and remove the Stadium if he wants to get this KO on the Garb. And he needs a DCE, which is another thing that's a factor here. So that means he was almost forced to attack with this one, I think. And I think Stefan should recognize that and notice. And then if he's like, okay, if he's going to attack with this one and get the KO. If he doesn't get the KO here, Stefan wins. If he gets the KO here, you just want to KO this back. So this Zoroark with a Choice Band can KO this. So he should have tried to hold on to the choice. Definitely trade away the Acerola. The Acerola is like useless right now, I think. Like I don't know why he kept the Acerola. Doesn't really do anything anymore. Like every time Tord gonna take a knockout, he's also gonna like take away your DCE. So, like you're not gonna get the DCE back. He's like, so yeah, he still has 2 Enhanced Hammers in the deck. He has puzzles for Enhanced Hammers. We see him eyeing up the Bridget. Probably gonna go Bridget, fill his bench, knock out the active. He does have the Field Blower in hand as well, so he'll be able to Field Blower away the Parallel City. Bridget, fill his bench. trade. He's got field blower. He's got a parallel city of his own, which is pretty good. That'll limit the Zoroark damage from Stefan. Maybe Stefan will whiff the knockout on this Zoroark. It looks like he's gonna have to use this Zoroark for turn to attack with. I don't know how many DC is left, but it can't be. I don't think it's a ton on Tord's side. There's the monkey, Rangaroo. But you have to deal with the Trash Lanch Garb first. Should see the Lele to get ditched here, just in case you do knock out a Zorua or an Rangaroo on Stefan's side. You have the Kartana to close out the game with the GX attack. So yeah, we see the Bridget for the Lele. It's good to me. Bridget for Lele. He needs one more Pokemon. Rangaroo's in hand, so he'll get the Riotous Beating on the Special Lynch, and Stefan does not have a follow-up Trubbish, unfortunately. It's in hand now. I thought he must have gotten out of the prizes. Yeah, it must have been prize. That's why he traded the Ultra Ball. Put an Ultra Ball for it anyways. So the Trubbish should come down for sure. Ideally, maybe put double puzzle for a second Trubbish. Second trade first, though. Still, yeah, he's got the Trubbish. He's got the Treasure Ledge. Excuse me. The knockout out here would definitely be, and with double puzzle, he should be able to get the knockout here. Field blower to remove the parallel city, and then he probably has to get the choice band again. Once again, this is what I would like to have seen him have the choice band already. I don't know why he kept the Acerola. The other two trades on this turn were definitely fine, but the two trades before, there's no reason for him to have kept Acerola. I don't think Acerola is pretty useless at this point. Trubbish comes down. I think Lele has to come down as well. Gonna get a Guzma. It looks like he has an N in hand, so he'll probably play the N. Put Tord down to 2 cards with 1 trade in play only. We'll see though. Takes the Guzma. Once again, I don't think he's going to use it. Could be wrong. Choice band active, so he's probably not using the Guzma. He has the N, so would like to see the N happen. Puts GC on bench Zoroark. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, Tord still has a ton of Enhanced Hammer in his deck. Or 2 Enhanced Hammer, but that's actually quite a bit, like, as far as the count goes. I'm not a big fan of this DCH attachment. I actually would either like to see it on the active, actually. Or just don't attach it at all. I think not attaching it at all is the way to go here. I don't like the attachment of this DCE. Just because, like, Tord still has 2 Enhanced Hammer in deck. Like, I don't know if Stefan knows Tord's deck list for sure, but he should know at this point in the tournament, once again, that he plays heavy Enhanced Hammer. He could check the discard pile, see how many Enhanced Hammer are in there, and then you could just play around that, just not attach the DCE there. Because now it's possible Stefan's Zoroark gets trapped in the active if Tord draws an Enhanced Hammer. It just seems unnecessary to attach a DC to the bench there. I think actually the better attachment is on the active. You can't float on the active. He still has a float zone left, but you can float on anything off the bench. So if Tord goes for like a Guzma stall play on one of your bench Pokemon, you have the float zone for that. But now you can't. But you can't float on your active ever. So we saw the blower, Parallel City. I think. No, what did he do here? Oh, there it is. Yeah, the Enhanced Hammer. He got the Enhanced Hammer. Enhanced Hammer that, and then Parallel City. Stefan to 3. So Stefan at 2 prizes. Has the Evo Soda. Stefan just needs. Yeah, Guzma, Unit Energy, or Field Blower, Floatstone. I think he has a Floatstone left. Oh no, he put it on the Garb on the bench. Oh, okay, that's right. He doesn't. So he doesn't actually have a Floatstone left. Trade number 1, 2. Thinking between Sycamore and Field Blower. He has another Field Blower, so I don't think he needs to hold that. Unit Energy, Zorua, Field Blower, Enhanced Hammer. Not a whole lot going on. Might just be a pass here from Stefan. Once again, if this DC was in the deck, he has a higher chance to draw DC, and he could just punch the Zoroark, which would have been way better than just passing. So yeah, once again, this DC attachment here on the bench, I think, was poor there by Stefan. It just doesn't really, do anything. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't really do anything. All you're trying to do, yeah, I think I actually would have liked to have seen the second DC attachment to the active. I think that would have been optimal actually from Stefan, because it gives him a higher chance of just getting to the Garbodor on the next turn. Because yeah, the Enhanced Hammer play was definitely possible. So we see DCE puzzle Mallow from Tord. Not great. Ideally, would have liked to have probably gone into a Rangaroo here, then maybe try and get. I mean, he just saw Stefan trade pass. So if you could have got a couple turns, potentially a couple turns of a Rangaroo off, you could get the items back under the threshold. But then the Rangaroo would get knocked out, and the Kartana would come in anyways, I guess, to draw the last prize. Yeah, so it's just not looking good here from Tor. There's almost no good options. I assume Stefan will draw a way to win the game on the next turn, actually, either Guzma or DC retreat to Zoroark. I guess it depends if Tord could actually retreat his Zoroark from the active. I wouldn't hate retreat to the Arangaroo. Actually, that's what I think. I like that. Um, and if you do know Stefan's list, you know he plays the Ace of Roll. The Ace of Roll is not the discard pile, so then that becomes an out. Is Ace of Roll your active? I don't think he's traded away at this point. I would have liked to have seen him traded away earlier. I don't think he has at this point. But actually, on Tord's side, I wouldn't hate retreating. I guess this does just set up the win for Tord, but it's super unlikely Stefan doesn't have an out, and now this sets up another out for Stefan of Acerola. We'll see, though. Yeah, there's the Guzma. And that's going to be Guzma Trash Challenge Lockout Lele. Yeah, I guess this hit is fine from Tord because you're just trying to set up the win in 2 turns. It's possible. I don't know. Is it even possible for Stefan to whiff? But if you retreat to a Rangaroo, that means he can move anyways. He's probably going to move his active anyways. This opens up the out of the Acerola, which I don't think Stefan had traded away up to this point. So that's going to be game 1. I think it was actually played a little sloppily by Tord. Not pressuring the Garbodors. Instead, he went for pressuring the Zoruas into like a turn late pressuring the ability lock Garb when his item count was already so high that ability lock Garb doesn't matter anymore, and the rest of the troubles are going to become trash challenges anyways. Like Stefan's not going to try and set up ability lock Garb again. He's just going to go for trash challenges from there on out. I mean, getting rid of it is like okay there. I guess it's better than getting rid of a Zorua there again. But I think he should have gone for the ability lock Garb knockout initially. When he had the Guzma KO, he went for Guzma KO Zorua, which I feel like was kind of poor. Once again, and then also on towards trades, I feel like he could have traded away more supporters and less items. He traded away a lot of items. He could have traded away Delinquent, the Flare Ground, which are both kind of Delinquents. I mean, I love keeping Delinquent because I like having the out of it, but like if you get the game to a state where the Garbs are a non-factor on Tord's side, you'll always win. If you make it just a Zoroark versus Zoroark matchup, you'll always win as Tord. So I feel like just trying to keep your items low as long as you can until you can get a Rangaroo, get the items back in the deck. Once again, he chases Zorua. If he had just chased Garbodor there and then been able to follow up with another chase on a Trubbish or a Garbodor, I feel like that would have been way better on Tord's side as well. Yeah, so I feel like it was played a little sloppy on Tord in this one. Not trading away supporters, and then I think you just needed to pressure the Garbodor instead of the Zoroark. Sure. He said he went after the Zorua pressure and when he could have pressured the ability lock, taken out the ability lock Garb. I don't know how important the ability lock Garb is in this matchup, but you definitely want to pressure it to not give Stefan that option of just setting up ability lock Garb plus N. Because Stefan is definitely like fine with Tord going up in the matchup. Because ability lock Garb plus N is pretty good against Tord's deck. Especially when you're a Zoroark deck yourself and you have out to a lot of options on Stefan's side. But we'll get into game 2. We'll see if Tord switches up his play. I definitely want to see him trade away less items and try and set up a Rangaroo faster. He will try and be more aggressive with a Rangaroo. But we'll see. Tord will be going first in this one. He did go first in the last game. Prized Zoroark and a Zorua, so not a huge deal. Stefan prize double blower, which could be a big deal if Tord finds. So not a great start from Tord. Has to go puzzle for 3. I think puzzle for 3 passes was going to be so terrible start for Tord. One comment I want to make on Stefan's prize is if he gets paralleled first, if Tord finds parallel first, the double blower prize could actually be a big deal if he's not able to draw prizes early and get one of them out. We do see the Lele most likely for Bridget here start from Stefan, but definitely better than Tord's start of puzzle for 3 pass. Definitely not what you want on Tord's side. Is basically whenever when anything happens like this, it's going to allow Stefan to create more pressure on you, which all that leads to more items. So we're going to see the Bridget from Stefan, double Zorua, triple Zorua. So now he go on triple Zorua. I guess it's because his Trubbish can't be pressured. Maybe that's what he's thinking. But once again, even in the first game, I would like to have seen triple Zorua in play and one Trubbish. You always want one Trubbish in play, at least. But yeah, he goes for the triple Zorua here. I guess. I mean, if Ford had like open Zorua Brigited, we probably would have seen Trubbish Zorua, which I would have been fine with because the first Trubbish is getting pressured, or very likely to get pressured. But in the last game, it was like unlikely for the one Trubbish to get pressured. Tor would have had to have a Guzma DCE Zorak hand, which is kind of a lot to ask for on a turn 2. It does happen sometimes, but even if that does happen, you're not like out of the game as Stefan. This game we see him go for the triple Trubbish, but or triple Zorua, but his Trubbish just can't be pressured. So since he had a 6, we see a Zorua, Ultra Ball, and a lot of items. We should probably see Ultra Ball for a Lele for a supporter here from Tord. Or I would like to get rid of both those weakness policies. It's a lot of items, but you don't want Stefan to just set up a ability lock Garb and then shut you out of the game. So I think we just want to see Sycamore, yeah. He's probably, I think the other 2 cards was Mew Max Potion. You don't mind discarding the Mew, and the Max Potion can be used on your Lele if Stefan is able to move his active and then hit you with his Zorak. So you'll utilize all the cards. And I mean, the Mew's not an item, so it doesn't really matter if you discard it. Oh, he actually Ultra Balled away Weakness Policy Mew. Okay, interesting. I would have kept the Mew as an option in the hand. What's the hand then? Yeah, so I think that's actually just a mistake by Torque. You should keep the Mew in the hand just in case you want to bench it as a potential attack buff to ride his beating on Zorak. The weakness policy is always useless, so he trades the ability lock Garb immediately here from Stefan. I'm not a huge fan of that. We'll see what else he has. Looking at N. I stretch it for 1 for Garb. What else could he have traded? I'm not a big fan of that trade at all. Because you don't want to have to use the stretcher on it. I guess you really don't have any other better things to trade away. Yeah, it's fine. It is the best trade. It is the best card to trade, actually, unfortunately. And now he's going to debate stretchering for it. Which I would just go with. Like, the less trades you give toward, once again, the more you pressure anything ever as the Garb deck, the more items are going to end up in their discard pile. So I would like to see the ability lock Garb come out here. Like, now it's so much more awkward for Tord to do anything if he doesn't have trades. He's going to go for the end first. I guess I'm fine with this. He doesn't need it this turn. Tord only has 1 trade available. And he did go with the Lele for a supporter. So you know he had a supporter hand. Now if you're ending him to 6, he'll probably have something to do on his turn. Ideally from Tord, he just draws a Bridget. A raw Bridget, not needing Lele for Bridget. Don't see it. Oh, and a Parallel City. So, and the retreat and the swing. Yeah, so I'm with Stefan's current hand, I'm sure he's glad he did not put the ability lock Garb in play. But we do see an end from Tord, so that's gonna again be pretty good for Stefan. Another item though off the Max Potion, and once again it doesn't matter. Like that's why this pressure is so awkward for Tord to deal with. Like he just had the Max Potion on Lele that just did nothing, and this turn he can't even like attach TCE to Lele and attack, because it doesn't set up a 2-shot for Tord. So it's just like super awkward for Tord. And once again, not a very good hand. All he wants is Zoruas, but he can't find them. Not getting out the Bridget in the first 2 turns definitely is tough here for Tord. I would like to see the Parallel City traded away. He goes with the DCE. I just hate getting rid of items. I would like to see Tord trying to avoid getting rid of items. He doesn't. I think he had a field blower in hand actually. I was gonna say he didn't set up to play around. What's it called? But I think he might actually have a field blower. So DCE, and then we should just see an N here from Stefan. Yep, there's the N. The ideal draw here would be like 2 Zorak GX plus an ability lock Garb. Yeah. So once again, like I was saying, I guess I want to be a little more clear on that. Like this pressure that Stefan is applying by just attacking while Tord does nothing is actually huge, because it's making Tord burn items and not efficiently pressure Stefan back at all. Like he's played an Enhanced Hammer and a Max Potion, but there's no damage on Stefan's field. Stefan's like, okay, as long as I draw a DCE every single turn, I'm going to win this game, and your item's just going to rack up to the point where Trash Lance takes over the game. So he has the treasure in hand, so we probably will see a the ability lock Garb come out here. Don't trade away DCE. You think about trading away DCE? Should be the end, yeah. Okay. He put it at the front of his hand, so I got a little scared there. So yeah, we should see a treasure for ability lock Garb here. I don't think there's any reason not to. You have the Cynthia as a follow-up. Even if you didn't have Cynthia, you have a DCE. So if Tord removes your energy, you could at least keep attacking. Yep, we're gonna see another 120. Once again, this is just making it really hard for Tord to keep up. I think his hand is actually just dead on this one. He has Delinquent, but I think that's pretty much all he got. So we can get the Delinquent. He actually has the return. So we should see Stefan get rid of. He kept Cynthia DC, so yeah, that makes sense. And then Perilous City, get rid of Lele, get rid of Zorua. You want to keep the Trubbish, 100% want to keep the Trubbish. And yeah, the rest of Tord's hand is dead. It's gonna be a pass. Draw from Stefan. He doesn't even have to play Cynthia here, but you probably want to try and get rid of that Perilous City. You could also just attack. I wouldn't hate that from Stefan here. Yeah, I actually kind of like this. Just going to attack. You have the DC as a follow up. If he knows his prizes, he knows there's 2 Field Blower prized. He's likely to draw one here. He does get one. Board has a counter catcher. Might see quite a bit of this coming up. He has another counter catcher in hand. We're up to 6 items. Item count is still climbing. While Tord is applying no pressure, not dealing with the Garbodors, not pressuring the Zorks. This was again what I meant when I said probably get rough here for Tord. So he definitely wants to get the puzzle here. I don't know if there's another good target here. We'll see. I'm curious as to see what he gets. He's definitely gonna be puzzle something. Looks like maybe puzzle Guzma. There's no reason not to grab the other puzzle here, I don't think, as Stefan. He's debating the Zorua though. I don't know. Maybe his 4th puzzle is prized, and in this case, I kind of like this. But if it's not, I would have just grabbed the other puzzle. I think here as He's just gonna go straight after the Zoroark. You definitely just want some way to retreat, so the Guzma's good. And then I guess he wants to put the 2-shot damage in play by doing 100s. So it makes sense, I guess. I still would have liked to have seen the other puzzle, maybe though. I don't know. I guess it's not that big of a deal. If you're putting this much pressure on and Tord has nothing to counter it, then this should just win you the game actually on Tord's side. So flow zone retreat is what we should see here. Yep. Passes fun. Did he keep counter catcher in hand? He had another counter catcher, right? Yeah, I don't know why. I'm curious as to why he didn't play that. He definitely should have just counter catchered the Trubbish again. If you see Stefan, if Stefan's way of getting out of that the first counter catcher is double puzzle for Guzma, you definitely counter catcher the Trubbish again, 100%. I'm not sure what Tord's thinking was there. I guess his thought process was it goes to 7, which means then Garb unit choice band knocks out the Lele anyways. But if this Zoroark just punches you twice, you lose anyways too. So I think I still would have liked to have seen the counter catcher on the Trubbish here, even though it puts the 7th item and that does open up. That's still a lot Stefan needs. And at this point, Tord is so far behind that he has to play to get lucky, in my opinion. So yeah, I would like to have seen him just bring up the Trubbish and hope it sticks. Maybe even bring up the Zork. Bring up the Zork would have been fine too. It forced another DC. Once again, not a fan of this DC attachment. Just because if Tord has a enhanced hammer, he enhanced hammers this, and this one gets stuck active. And you don't want that to happen at this point for Stefan. You just want to keep going. There's Trash Challenge, there's Unit. And Righty Speed. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that DC attachment on the bench. I think it's actually even better on the active. You don't want it there either, I don't think. I think you just don't attach it. I think you just save it for later. Only a Zorua here from Tord. Yeah. 12 in the discard pile. So we can go after the Zorua here. And as long as he keeps keeps pressuring towards Pokemon, eventually Tord won't have enough Pokemon if he eventually gets out of this dead draw to actually one-shot a Trash Challenge. So I like Stefan here just constantly pressuring the Pokemon in general. I think we're gonna have to see puzzle look at the top 3 here from Tord. I mean, if he has 2 puzzle left, then he could potentially just draw. All right, there's an N. That's exactly what he wants to see, I think. We could put that Field Blower on top if he wanted to. But I almost feel like he wants to keep the ability lock Garb in play, actually. Here on... I'm pretty sure Tord wants to keep the ability lock Garb in play, so the N will actually try and lock Stefan out of the game. You know, he can get, like, Enhanced Hammer and maybe go into a Rangaroo if he gets lucky. We'll have to see. Field Blower. Yep. Another item goes up. Another Zorua comes down. We'll see the knockout on this Lele, putting Stefan to 1 prize. He's actually even going to put the unit energy on the Trash Challenge. I like that at this point. That way, making Enhanced Hammer. Like, there's so many things to Enhanced Hammer on Stefan's board. I still not a, once again still not a huge fan of the DCE second DCE on the benched Zoroark. Counter catch up to Zorua, and then N from Tord. And this is where you could possibly come back as Tord. Actually, the floatstone removal was a big deal there from Stefan. I don't know. I think ideally from Tord would go into a Rangaroo here and start putting items back, and he has to set up some kind of lock to close out the game. It's gonna be really hard here for Tord to make a comeback. We'll see what he gets though. No, nothing good here. Yeah, I think like the only way Tord could have won there is if he went to a Rangaroo. If the Floatstone was still in play, he got a Rangaroo DCE off of this N, and then he started putting stuff back in and set up some kind of lock to close out the game. I think he knows that he's going for the Rangaroo. But he basically has. It's gonna take a while for him. He needs. I don't think he can afford to play down that puzzle out of his hand. He has to like top deck the puzzle and then get Floatstone DCE and let that work for a couple turns. So he's gonna go for the puzzle. Look at the top three. There's a DCE. I think you put the. I don't even know. Put the AzulGG on top maybe, and then AzulGG and then draw the DCE the turn after. Then your follow up is support. I think you actually had to just leave the puzzle on top as Tord. And then hope you draw a second puzzle and go into a Rangaroo immediately the next turn. I almost like that a little bit better. Just you have to get lucky here anyway, so play to get as lucky as possible. And there's the retreat, Trash Lynch, and Stefan closes out the set too. Yeah. So that's it. That's the final Stefan one. 2-0 over Tord. I do think Tord played pretty sloppy in game one. Focusing the Zoroarks instead of the Garbodors immediately, because that's the difference in the deck's attackers is you have Zoroark and Zoroark, and then Stefan also has Garbodor, and on Tord's side you have the infinite resources through a Rangaroo, slash an Rangaroo loop, whatever you want to call it. So if you just make the Garbodors a non-factor on Tord's side, and it's hard to you can't use a Rangaroo until you sufficiently have pressured your opponent's resources, really. Using it in the mid game is like finest Torch to like reset your items a little bit to make so Trash Lynch doesn't one shot. Even if you're sacrificing the Rangaroo, like if Stefan just gets to go get a free knockout on a Rangaroo, for you to put 3 items back in your deck, that's fine for Tord. If it keeps Trash Lynch that much further away from getting one shots on Zoroarks or even Lele's, you don't really care as Tord. And then in game 2, we just saw him kind of dead draw. Didn't even get a turn 2 Bridget. Had one Zoroark set up maximum at any point in the game. So yeah, it was not a clean and not a pretty game in game 2. I mean, the only thing that I would have liked to have seen out of Tord there would have been that second counter catcher. I just bring up the Trubbish and just pray like you're at. We have to get so lucky anyways. Maybe that buys you a couple turns, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, game 1 I felt like definitely was not played perfectly from Tord. I feel like he could have. Yeah, I would like to have seen him trade away supporters instead of items. Just if Trash Lynch never becomes a threat, you just win the game as Tord. But he like traded away items over the Delinquent and the Flare Grunt, which are like not great cards anyways in the matchup. The Enhanced Hammers and the Max Potions are the really good ones. AzulGG is pretty good too. Then maybe tried to play to get into a Rangaroo a little bit earlier. I don't know if he really had ever had the opportunity to get into a Rangaroo. I actually don't think he did on Tord's side. But he could have definitely reduced his item count. What he played down for items a little bit I mean, he definitely traded away more items than he had to. He could have traded away supporters. For sure. Yeah, that'll do it for the end of my NAIC VOD review series. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you enjoy the content, subscribe. Links as always for my Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, down in the description below. Links for all my stuff and down in the description below. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, and I'll be back with, I guess the next VOD review series will be for Worlds. I don't think there's anything else coming up before that. So stay tuned in about a month for that. I'll be bringing you guys more content, especially with the new set Celestial Storm coming out. Deck profiles, PTCGO gameplay with new decks. There's not a whole ton of new decks to go over, but I'll be bringing you guys what I can on that front. So thanks for watching. Have a good day and peace.